The other thing that stands out, so it's interesting, right? If you start with the persona and you look at it from an operator's perspective and view, there is also then this piece of like them being able to replicate the organizational structure, right, by business unit or by how the actual company's making money by leveraging public cloud. So there's both the persona view, but then there's also the business view, right? That then sometimes they correlate, sometimes they don't at all, right? So there's that piece that has to be, and then that again has to be replicated across each of those clouds as well. So maybe if there's any other points to share on that, but I would say that that's certainly something we're seeing as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. And actually, I just gave a talk on the relationship between the CTO office and the CFO office, and how sort of bifurcated that can be, and the need to get those two parties, talking more commonly. Normally, what we see, by the way, on the technical side is where the folks are using a cost management tool, and what we see is either the technical team or dedicated FinOps team is more or less translating the outputs of those platforms to put it into language that finance understands. So, in the most basic sense, it would literally be like closing the books every month. And, when they close the books, they want to get a reporting, in the form that's consistent with however they report by business unit, by geo, whatever that is. And so those personas in accounting and finance really don't care about what EC2 is, or any of that. They just say, what did you spend? How much did it change? Segmented in this way. So we typically see that's the boundaries of where people are interacting with either console or cost management, in our experience, kind of ends on the technical side. And then you've got some number of parties. It might be some poor technical souls that have it dumped in their lap to do the reporting, or better yet, as the organization continues to mature, they're going to start having FinOps practitioners that are dedicated. Oftentimes today, full time. We see large enterprises have 2 or 3 full time FinOps practitioners now that are doing rolling efficiency checks, but they're also there to do the reporting, each period, and also real time.
Yeah, and things like cost allocation that you can't, where you're in something like the console, you're looking at spend by specific groups, but then those top level billing items that aren't getting allocated out from within a billing console, you want that cost allocation within your platform to be able to see how the spend is broken down across groups. And then even there are some areas of spend that multiple groups would want visibility into. You might have one account that is being utilized by multiple groups, and so you want visibility into that across several different users and the ability to review it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it's fair to say that literally every client I've had since I got into this work years ago has somewhere in their organization something I call an account table. And the account table is almost always some kind of mapping, a many-to-one mapping between cloud vendor accounts and some kind of business unit. So if you imagine somebody who's having AWS and they have 30 AWS accounts, it's almost always the case that 5 of those are going to map to business unit X, and some other number go to business unit Y. And those account tables are always really important to understand, because they speak to exactly the challenge you just mentioned. Is when people need to close the books every month, a lot of times there is data that is not present in the form of an account table like that in the native billing data, nor would it be. I mean, why would AWS know that department X maps to these accounts? You can do things like cost allocation tagging, but a lot of times these account tables are really, really large. And so when we start off with a client, getting them set up in FinOps, the first thing that happens after the kickoff call of you get people in the room and you say, here's who we are, here's what we're here to do. The next question I ask is, can I meet the person who closes the books every month?